September 3rd, 2022. Well, I'm going to address the speech that uh, President Biden gave on Thursday evening. It's been highly, I guess, praised with far left people on their networks and pretty well trashed by all the conservatives. And I tend to agree with the conservatives. I did watch it, so you don't have to, I guess. But one thing I will say about it that I think we can agree with them on is too much of what happens in America today is not normal, he said. And I have to agree with that. There's a lot of things in this country that's going on today that's not normal. And I don't think he really was able to present a good case for how he's governing the country. I mean, we have an incredible flow of illegal aliens flowing into the country, along with a lot of fentanyl that's causing a substantial amount of deaths. Where we have this racist critical race theory being taught in schools, um, and trying to turn people against each other. We have people running around changing their identity and using various pronouns that are not related to their own physical gender. And well, we can just kind of keep going on with all the things that are not normal. This whole idea of getting into gender identity issues with kindergartners and early grade schoolers. I mean, what else do we have to say that's not normal? And certainly crime is spinning out of control as people supporting his administration and his candidates are supported by people who have also supported prosecutors who are not enforcing the laws and letting violent criminals run loose on the streets. All this is very not normal. So, at any rate, so I'll have to agree with them on that. By the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like. It helps with the algorithm a lot. And you can subscribe if you haven't already. And, of course, any comments are appreciated. Yeah, so that's a lot of what's not normal. He does make a variety of claims about those MAGA Republicans, the ultimate threat to the country, like MAGA Republicans don't respect the Constitution, which is, I really don't think so. I think it actually is those Democrats that seem to have a problem with the Constitution. Aren't they the ones that are, that are trying to pass a student loan forgiveness plan without the congressional approval? Trying to negotiate a deal which will with Iran about nuclear weapons without having it approved by the Senate. Trying to get the social media to censor people for saying things that disagree with their policies. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't seem like it's really the spirit of the Constitution and the First Amendment is desire to ban firearms from law-abiding citizens seems to differ from the Second Amendment. And we can go on with that. All the areas where he seems to have a problem with the Constitution and where the MAGA Republicans are pretty much with the Constitution. So that's kind of the thing I would say about this speech. I mean, he goes on about how that one of the claims he makes, in addition to everything else, it is true that I think that the MAGA Republicans tend, although I'm not sure universally, are pro-life. But he goes on to say that they want to ban contraception. I've never heard at all that there was any serious political movement to ban contraception on the part of the Republican Party. I've never heard that was on anybody's agenda. There is the issue of whether or not babies should be killed all the way up to birth. I think that is a real issue. I think that the Supreme Court ruling earlier this year returned the right to regulate this stuff to the states, and basically the states are now free to make what decisions they want on it. And this is hardly this nightmarish scenario that people are trying to present. And in fact, I think there should be greater restrictions, but I guess that'll be decided at various state level votes. And so on. I mean, and furthermore, this idea that democracy itself is under threat. Well, I don't know. I mean, that seems to me to be quite questionable. Of course, it depends on what you mean by democracy, I guess. But I mean, well, Chicago and Russia both have democracy, don't they? Oh, you don't think Russia has democracy? No, the people have actually voted for Putin in Russia. They did. Yeah, there's probably some cheating there, and there's probably some cheating in other places in this country. Probably the more cheating in Russia. But the fact of the matter is that both and the people in Chicago voted for Lori Lightfoot. I mean, so you know, that's I don't know why the people in Russia voted for Putin or why the ones that voted for Lori Lightfoot in Chicago, but they did. So that's one of the things that happens. Both are perhaps bad decisions, but people do make them, and they're probably doing it because in both cases they're subjected to certain kinds of propaganda. And of course, it's been revealed that the Biden administration has been working with social media to censor opinions they don't like. Now, of course, it hasn't gotten as bad in the U.S. as it is in Russia, let alone China. No, but the trend is not exactly good either, and Biden is not really being helpful in keeping us away from that sort of thing either. So I know there has been a lot of issue being raised. One talk show I heard today was referring to him as a dictator. I'm not sure I'd be prepared to go that far because I don't think he really has exerted that level of power yet. Although it does seem like he's working to get his potential political opponent in the 2024 election arrested. That does seem to be an effort that's being engaged by his Justice Department, which smacks a little bit of a third worldish nature to it. We can get into that issue, and I've addressed that in other videos about what I think about that. And new information is coming out on that too, and we'll find out over time what really is going on there. But all in all, the tendency of going after people's lawyers that are defending people that they don't like. I mean, this seems to be a tendency that's grown a lot in recent years, and it's not good. So I guess that's kind of expresses my opinion. I think on the practical side, I think it was a rather demagogic political speech that was presented as being something that was about the country and the state of democracy. But yeah, I mean the party that came out with the with all the 2,000 mules type approach to cheat in elections isn't exactly great for democracy either. But it isn't the first time the elections have been stolen by cheating either. So and this usually only is a factor in very close elections. So by all means, go out and vote. That should not discourage anybody from voting because, they can only do these things if they have a very close election. And if it gets beyond a certain level, it's just impossible anymore. So, that kind of wraps that up a little bit. And I think that this is all the kickoff of the fall election. I guess the message he has is vote Democrat. Well, my message is vote Republican and rein in this behavior that we're talking about because that's what we need to do. Now, I'll give you a little update on the status. I'm seeing the latest polling on a generic ballot, which interestingly, the latest generic ballot actually is basically dead even. Technically, the Democrats are ahead by 0.1% in the generic ballot now. They've fallen down from being Republicans being ahead by 0.1%. So essentially tied. But when you look again at the details, I would point out that the registered voter polls show the Democrats ahead by an average of 2%. The likely voter polls in there show the Republicans ahead by 4.3%, which is a 6.3% variance between the two types of polling. So I don't know. And looking at that, it seems to me that probably unless there's an unusual voting pattern, the Republicans should be in pretty good position to gain some seats in the House. The Senate races are always more problematic because in the Senate races you're dealing with whole states which have a much more mixed demographics and so forth. So, I mean, we have some encouraging things. One surprise, I think, is that Tiffany Smiley is actually only 3 points behind the Democrat in Washington State, according to one poll. On the other hand, we have situations where Johnson is a little bit behind in Wisconsin, and there's even one poll that shows Rubio in a little bit of trouble in Florida. On the other hand, we only have one poll there, so I don't know how serious to take that. And I think we're doing pretty good in Ohio. I think Missouri is doing good. Most of the states that aren't too competitive. We'll just have to see how this all turns out. It appears that the concept of a red wave seems to have maybe diminished a little bit. On the other hand, when you look at that very angry, overwhelmingly vindictive speech that Biden gave, you kind of wonder if that doesn't indicate they think they're in some real trouble. I mean, you still have a lot of basic indicators, and you have that have such as the right track, wrong track indicator. And I think the other thing you have to look at is that that it's possible that maybe the Republicans aren't responding to polling as well as maybe other people are. I mean, that could be an issue. Some people think that's the case. I don't know if that's true or not. Hard to tell. But at any rate, I think the Senate is going to be a more challenging situation, but I think it's potentially doable. So the key thing is get out and vote. Contribute to the candidates in your area if you can afford it. I mean, there's people in some tough times, but if you can afford it, that'd be a good idea. If you don't have any major races in your own state, you might give to the Republican Senate Congressional Committee and the Senate. The National Senate Republican Committee and the House Congressional Committee. Those are the two that you need to support, I think. And so that's about it. I think we have to hang in there. There could be some encouragement, I think, on the fact that he's gone so angry. On the other hand, this could be a prelude to something else. I mean, some people think it's an attempt to bait Trump into doing something, or it could be a prelude to justify actually pressing charges against Trump. That's another theory. So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and see how that goes. And as of this recording, we're still waiting to see what the judge down in Florida is going to rule on the special master. She is going to do a written ruling. So I assume there was a lot of good indications that she's going to rule in favor of Trump because of what she said. And but that's not a guarantee. Sometimes they're just trying to bring out the arguing points. And the other issue, of course, is since it's probably going to be appealed no matter which way it goes, she probably wants to write a solid written position, in writing that can stand up to appeal. So we'll have to see how that goes. By the way, the addresses of my social media accounts are the description below, and I also post these videos on Rumble. So if you're on Rumble, you can get on Rumble and follow me there as well. And that's also serves as a backup channel in case somebody doesn't like what I have to say on YouTube, which did happen in one case. So anyway, I'll wrap this up for now, and until next time.